What's the biggest challenge facing Ogilvy in the next 10 years?
I think that the whole advertising industry has totally lost the plot, and that it has become obsessed with that part of advertising which is a media and targeting optimization process. And the creative industry, the creative agencies, essentially are guilty of a kind of Stockholm syndrome to the media agencies, where they think it's all about essentially optimization of something. I would argue something completely contrary, which is that efficiency and effectiveness in much marketing activity may be inversely correlated.
Inversely?
Absolutely inversely, that actually it's the part of advertising that's wasted is the part that works. To quote a paper written at the London Business School. Now let me explain one possible reason for this, okay, is fame, okay? If you asked a teenager on Saturday night, why do you always go out on Saturday night? And they would answer something along these lines. They'd say, well, I might get lucky. You go, well, how are you going to get lucky? Well, I don't know, but I might meet a girl, I might meet a boy, I might meet some mates and we might have a great time. I might end up, I don't know, in a fight, I don't know, whatever the people want from Saturday night. But what they know is, they don't know how they're going to get lucky. What they do know is that if they stay home on Saturday night, they're not going to get lucky. Best that can happen is they watch quite a good film. Now, I would argue that a very, very strong justification for advertising is simply that if I'm famous, the likelihood that positive luck events happen to me goes up enormously. Okay, I can't say in advance what they're going to be. I can't say remotely in advance how I'm going to get lucky. It may be that because that my chief executive gets his call returned because people have heard of our company. It might be that someone really clever comes to us with a good idea because they've heard of our company. Everything that's good that ever happens to you happens because someone's heard of you, right? Okay?
Right.
And that fame is a great way of exploiting luck asymmetry, that far more good things happen to you if you're famous, with no increase in bad things, with one exception, which is if you get involved in the scandal, it's worse.
Okay.
So if you're a dishonest company, you don't want to be famous because it makes it much, much worse when you're caught out. But if you're basically a reputable company making a good product and you're not a dodgy drugs company killing people, it pays you to be famous because the positive asymmetries of interactions, the positive interactions that result vastly outweigh what is a really trivial downside.
Okay, and that's marketing, getting you famous.
Now, the need to say in advance how we're going to be successful reduces the number of ways in which you can be successful.
Okay.
Because you've already defined in advance what success looks like. Well, why don't you just say, I want to be successful, I don't really care how. Now, I'll give you a fantastic example of this, right?
That's the problem with metrics, though. You're following one metric and you're saying, I want to do this.
By trying to make everything quantifiable, you're narrowing in advance the number of possibilities your company has to get lucky.
Okay.
Now, if you hold up the book for a second, right? Okay, that book is sort of a psychology book. I didn't write it just for advertising people. I'll be clear about that, because Jeremy Bullmore said the best books about advertising.
How do you get Nassim Taleb to put a quote like that on your book?
Well,
he's not exactly the easiest guy to nail down, and he doesn't actually say nice things about anybody.
We get on fine, actually, and I love the guy. The book would never have been written without Nassim Taleb, because his work in the Inserto is the classic work. I also admire people like Robert H. Frank, I mentioned earlier, okay? Those are people who are of enormous value, because if you read their books, you get thousands of things out of the books, but really you get one thing, which is, oh, so as well as looking at it like this, I could also look at it like that. And actually there is no context-free truth, really, okay? So the more ways in which you can look at something, the richer you are.